Fitzpatrick again looking in the flat. The pass intercepted by Derek Johnson. He's got the open field, gets a couple blocks. DJ going right. He's at the 25, 20, 15. He's at the 10, and he's taking a jet with him all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Love seeing DJ rumbling into the end zone there. That was definitely one of the top plays in the history of this matchup. And based on how this defense is playing, wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw a similar play on Sunday. Hey everybody, my name is Matt McMullen, and welcome into our game preview this week, presented by Crown Royal. And this week we're joined by Kevin Clark of The Ringer. He's gonna help us break down Chiefs and Jets. Kevin, how's it going?
It's going great. Excited for the game this weekend.
Yeah, can't wait. Chiefs trying to go 7-1 here as we reach the midpoint of the season. Kevin, I want to ask you about these Jets. They're interesting to me because they end last season so strong. They go 6-2 over their last 8 games. Sam Darnold's playing pretty good football, and their hope is that they'll carry that momentum here into this season, but that hasn't been the case at all. Here we are in week 8. They're still seeking their first win of the year. What's gone wrong for the Jets this season?
Everything, but more specifically, they're in year 2 of the Gase experiment, I guess you could say, and I think there's still an evaluation stage with some of the young players. I think that Joe Douglas took over at kind of a weird time after Mike McCagnon was fired a couple of years ago as general manager, and he didn't get a one full draft cycle and all that stuff. So I think they're in kind of a no man's land as far as where they are with their franchise right now, and so I think that they're in a tough spot. I just don't think there were all that many expectations this year, and I don't think that you can say it's they haven't met them or it's been a disaster, considering the fact that I think we all thought they would struggle, and they have struggled.
The struggles, especially on offense this year. Right now, they rank last in the NFL in points per game, passing yards per game, and third down conversion rate. Sam Darnold has also struggled, second worst passer rating in the NFL right now. And they're going against the Chiefs defense on Sunday that over their last 16 ball games dating back to last year, allowing just under 18 points per game, second best defense in the NFL in that stretch. Hoping that trend can keep going here on Sunday. Now, one bright spot for the Jets this year, speaking of defense, has been their red zone defense. They've actually been pretty good in the red zone defensively. Look at last week against the Buffalo Bills. They hold the Bills to over 5 in the red zone. Really good. They almost win that game against the Bills because the Bills couldn't score touchdowns. They're kicking field goals. What do you make of this Jets red zone defense and how they found success this year?
Yeah, I mean, Greg Williams is still a really good defensive coordinator, and they've got talent on that side of the ball. And so you cannot throw that out. I think that some of the real struggles on the Jets are on the offensive side of the ball. Joe Flacco comes in for Sam Darnold. I mean, that kind of thing. They look kind of hopeless. And so I think that's where I guess you could say the hopelessness kind of seeps into the franchise. But I think on the defensive side, Greg Williams, there's a lot you can say about him, but he always has his guys ready to play. And so I wasn't surprised last week watching that Bills game. I thought that at one point I thought they were going to win just because the Bills looked so out of sorts because the Jets had them so off balance. And I also think, quite frankly, at this point, the narrative around the Jets is so negative that I think that teams are surprised when they give it to them a little bit. And I think that was happening in the first half last week, where the Bills were kind of just like, hey, this isn't supposed to be how it's going to happen. I think that's the danger at this point for any team going against the Jets, is that they're still an NFL team. There still is talent on that roster, on the 53-man roster. And to guard against it, I think is probably pretty important.
You have to take care of business any given Sunday is really the mentality here in the NFL. So the Chiefs' offense has really kind of morphed around lately. They've been running the ball really well, throwing the ball well at times as well. How do they match up with what the Jets like to do defensively?
Well, I mean, listen, Le'Veon Bell, the addition there, the narrative is perfect, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try to feed him a little bit. And, I think we all saw the stat that he had more big runs in his first game with the Chiefs than he had in his entire Jets career. So I think that the Chiefs match up pretty well with the Jets defense because the Chiefs match up well with anybody, and I think they could take advantage of that. I think that there's not a level of the Jets defense that is elite or good or great. And the problem with when you match up against the Chiefs is they do everything well. Patrick Mahomes throws the best pass I've ever seen in my entire life. You could, if they just wanted to run the ball, if they wanted to do, almost what they did against Buffalo, they could do that and win the game. And so I think that I don't see a matchup where I say, okay, I'm circling this. I'm circling linebackers versus tight ends. No, it doesn't exist. The Chiefs have the edge in every single facet of that offense versus defense matchup. And I think we're going to see that. I don't think it'll be particularly close. Chris Jones, and he said, this is still a pretty good team even though they're winless. I'm less charitable on that. I just don't see much of a scenario in which the Jets can pull this one off. I mean, I could see it maybe being like what the Bills game was, or maybe it's close for a quarter and a half. But I just think that when you're dealing with the Chiefs, they're so consistent. They have almost no letdown. Their motor is incredible. They're well coached. I think when you're a team like the Jets, this matchup is just not very good for them.
What's my final question for you, actually? Who wins the game on Sunday, and what's the final score?
The Chiefs win. So they're favored to win by about 3 touchdowns. I think that sounds right. I would go 34-10 Chiefs.
Like the sound of that. Kevin, awesome stuff. Really appreciate your time, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.